Alright folks, been a little while. Happy New Year everybody. It's now January 6th. Decided to do a quick little update here. What we've been doing, a lot of the work's been underneath the layout, not seeable. We've actually got the other bus, the other 5 and 12 volt bus run from the power supply. I also added, just for fun, added a light underneath it here. Just a little leftover LED strip that I had. Wired it in, so we got the bus run up. Before the last update we had it run that way up the peninsula, and now we have it run to just behind this control cabinet for Eugene East, and also for the one at the far end for Eugene West. We also have a bunch of other interlockings done. Here's the interlocking at Eugene West. All installed. We've been testing it. We've been running stuff over it back and forth and through the crossovers to make sure everything seems to be working okay. Highly recommend that you do some testing, because one of the things that I found, and it was an issue, was on this particular turnout right here, where when you build the fast tracks, the frog is obviously separate. Cut these gaps, and these gaps I had them in, they were right, but I had the gap in a PCB board tie on this tie, not this tie. That's wrong, because I had a direct short across here. I don't think I'll be able to see it. I mean, I was able to go back in and then just went ahead and added the gap there. Having it here didn't matter, didn't hurt, didn't help, because the frog's all independent and all together anyway. So having a gap didn't do a darn thing. And when I tested it out, it did test. I didn't have continuity from the frog to all the other rails, because that wasn't the issue, but I didn't test continuity from here to here. So when I turned it on, and sure enough, the booster started beeping. There was a dead short, so I had to fix that. So again, luckily I had, just prior to that, I actually did go through and cut all the gaps. So what I was able to do, because before I had it all kind of run as just one big block just to get some trains running. But this is all temporary right now. But I had it all as individual blocks brought up, so I just dropped them all off, added them back block by block until the short happened. And I found out it was in block number 24, which is the particular area that I showed up here, which is basically from about here, this side of the interlocking, up to where the double gap is now for the booster boundary here, and then up roughly through here. Currently just using the frogs as the gaps from this, which is block 24. So I was able to go, like I said, one by one, find out where the short was. And once I looked at it, it was staring me right in the face until it hit me, and I said, oh, okay, there's a problem. Also have Eugene East in place. Again, I've been doing some testing here. The fast track crossover that we got in. This was kind of an afterthought, and another thing when you're doing your planning, always try to think ahead, because I didn't. Here's the issue: that signal bridge is just kind of sitting there right now. That's where it's going to be. That's where I want it to be, to protect this end of the control point. But the bright idea that we had was, okay, we're going to use this leftover microengineering number 6 switch that I had, and we're going to run a track off here, as opposed to having the programming track here. We're going to run off like a spur, double gap it right here, have a have a toggle switch that either goes program or mainline. It's not going to be used for much, maybe a spur to set off some MOW equipment or something like that, or be available for programming. I just thought it was a little bit more elegant than picking locomotives up and taking them off. This way I can actually run them in and do any service program I have to. But I was planning to run it much farther than that, but you can see due to the signal bridge, which kind of dawned on me one day that I better not put that track in, because I have a signal bridge, and sure enough, it's obviously not going to fit past it. So that's going to be a little bit shorter track, but it should be fine. Again, if I gap it right here off the turnout, that will be long enough to fit our longest engine. It might not fit a big boy or a Challenger if we ever buy one, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This will not be powered. It's a late addition. The micro-engineering with the spring in them, boom, we'll just throw it by hand. I have no issue with that. It's right next to the edge, so it's not a big deal. That way I can put a little bit more of a realistic switch stand in there, and again, for the purposes that we're going to have it for, it's fine. I had it, so we added it. Also did get what we're calling CP97. That also was in, that double crossover. And then the switch going to the Spur track, which is actually the Fairview drill track, which does exist. This is pretty much obviously a lot smaller, but a relatively accurate representation of the real CP97 on the CSX railroad. This track is really ratty, and it's used basically, they have a little area up in here, which we might model, where they actually set off cars and will change wheels and whatnot if they hit the impact detector over in, I believe, North Springfield, out that way, further west of here. So that's all in. I can't see it all that well, but I did try to kind of work on the ties a little bit on the micro-engineering flex track. I took off a bunch of ties, spread them out, kind of tried to make it look a little bit ratty, because it is definitely, in real life, it really is beat up. So got that in, ready to go for future work. And again, I need to run the power over to this side, so because I definitely need to get power to these. So that's most of the work that's been done. The test crew involved this little dude here we call Foxtrot Tango. He's the frog tester. He fits perfectly on the number 8 frog, so they're all powered, and he runs over them fairly well. I put one of the ring engineering EOTs on just to make sure I have power and I don't see a dropout. And I've been using this Atlas engine for running around, and this consist, which is consist number 1, for running through crossovers. We also did set up this particular auto-rack train with a BLI AC6000 and a bunch of auto-racks that we actually ran through the crossovers pretty darn fast, even in reverse, which scared the crap out of me, but we did it, and they actually ran okay. No derailments, and obviously in the real world we won't be running things through crossovers, especially auto-rack trains in reverse at high speed, but just to test things out, we did. Next we're going to be laying out the what's going to be the intermodal yard. You can see I got some track laid in there. I'm probably going to use the concrete tie stuff up to about here, and then for the most part it's going to be covered. So I'm just going to use up, we can see I already have some of the temporary stuff with feeders on them. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that in there. I kind of have it sized, just haven't installed it yet, and that'll then get the 2 intermodal yard tracks done. So you can actually store some trains then off the main line and get rid of the 050 switchers that we're using. Up at this end, I'm thinking about, that switch you see there was not part of the original plan. But what I might want to do, I'm not sure yet, is put something off this end. Some type of, I don't know what. Again, this is an intermodal facility, relatively new, kind of along the lines of North Baltimore, some of the new stuff that are being put in, obviously not nearly as large. So this can't be in some old decrepit industry. It's going to be something new, so I don't really know what it would be, or if I'm even going to do it. I was thinking maybe some type of cold storage. I could bring in some of the, get a couple of the nice new reefer cars and bring them in. But again, it's not big enough, and I want to avoid the temptation to jam track everywhere you possibly can. A lot of layouts just wind up looking like spaghetti with track over every possible square inch. I'm trying to avoid that. But it's not a bad area. It's something that might be usable. So if anyone's got any ideas of what might fit plausibly off of a modern intermodal terminal, it could be a switcher pocket, but I already kind of have that designed in up there at that end. It's kind of a lead to do some switching, so you don't have to go out to the main line. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be there. It just kind of flows nice at this end. Have the room for something, or if not, I'll just make it container parking and leave that switch out. So not sure yet. We'll see how that goes. Hoping to get this in sometime this week. Hopefully, I have my military duty this weekend with the Air Guard, so it's going to be a little bit while after this for another update, but I want to try to get some stuff done. And again, that signal bridge will come back out. I just wanted to kind of put it in there, see where it's going to look, and and then I had to do it to uncover the error that I made with my programming track, but that's okay, we'll make it work. Also did get installed the first 2 occupancy detectors. What I did was, these 2 are going to be outside of the board, so they're in and they're powered, and they actually do work. Work in terms of, I checked, verified that when something goes into the block, the red LED goes on to show occupied, and then the output, which goes back to the S Mini, which is run there. I know it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I tried to keep things neat. It does go, you know, from showing an open circuit unoccupied to a short when it's occupied, or not short, but a ground. That's how it triggers the S Mini, so it knows that it's occupied. So it does work. And the other thing I wanted to try was to make sure I'm not always running the power supply. It's on now because I was doing some other testing. You know, would the trains run with the power actually going through the DC CODs? And they will. I kind of figured that, so I apologize if I sound stupid, but this is the first time I've done it. But basically the power runs in up through that pulse transformer and straight up to the block. So if it's not on, it doesn't matter. You just don't get a signal out of it, but it still doesn't stop the power from going through, which I kind of figured. So so I can kind of show you, because one of the tests they recommend, if you put a finger across the block, which I'll do, you can see that goes on. That's just my finger going across the block. Nothing fancy there. That's all I'm doing, is just putting my finger across it, and sure enough, I'm getting a... So I did find I have to lick my finger, so I recommend, if you're going to do this with friends, get some chicken wings and have a party testing your blocks. And it does obviously work with the lighted passenger cars I have and the locomotives and whatnot. So I just wanted to verify that. Definitely need to start making the rest of the ODs, DC CODs. Like for example, this big conglomeration here will be the same setup that I have over here, except it'll all be mounted in the actual motherboard, so it'll be a lot neater, but same concept. So this was kind of just to prove to myself that it does work. And then I also need to start getting in here and working on adding the ties in where they're missing. Obviously, you know, you need to go back and add those in. Some of these fell off, so I need to add a couple ties and extend the ties for the switch machines. Get the power into the actual the control boxes, so I can actually start putting the switches in and actually power switches and whatnot. Because right now we're doing it by hand, which is fine, but it makes me nervous. Also, to use this is a Brawa Treibwagen 644 type from Germany, German prototype. It's got slightly larger flanges, so it makes a lot of noise, but it's a good tester. So we run him through at blazing speeds through the crossovers, and we see anything really loud or really obvious. It's a good way to pick them up. Kind of neat. So I like that. I like the German prototype stuff. Again, I actually rode on some of these when I was in Nuremberg, Germany, as part of my deployment to Afghanistan, which is another long story, but I actually got to go to Germany as part of that. So I rode that and the ice train, which is really pretty cool. So that's just a quick little update where we are. I said a lot of the track work is getting done. I have one more major set of crossovers to make, 2 more to make up here in Pittsfield, which right now this Swedish intermodal train is sitting on, but I have it kind of figured out how I need to cut the crossovers and make them fit. There's going to be a switch coming off here that'll be the lead into the, you can see the lines there, apologize for the mess, for the transformer factory, and then a set of crossovers here. They're going to go in there, so I need to make those up. And then of course I got to make a whole bunch of normal switches just to start building the yard out. So that's going to be the next big push. So that's it. Quick update. Again, I hope everyone had a great new year. If anyone has any ideas for what a suitable small type industry or what this track could be used for, I'd love to hear some thoughts on that. Because I'm kind of at a blank right now, but I think I could do something that makes sense, that fits in with the overall scheme of a little small, you know, kind of a 2-track intermodal yard. That's it for now. More to come. So again, thanks for watching, and I hope everyone has a great year, and we'll make some more updates soon. Thanks, everybody. error that I had that I didn't realize until I ran a locomotive. This particular switch here, again, I love the PCB board ties, but you got to be careful. Now this track wasn't in, and obviously this track wasn't in. So after the frog here, the gap was cut. This rail obviously wasn't powered by anything, but what I had done was I forgot to put this gap in. So I had a direct short from this rail to this rail. Now this particular rail is still fed by a feeder, which is in. The other feeder is here, which currently, however, because of the frog gap, this track was just sitting there basically the same polarity as this. I didn't notice it. I turned it on. Everything was fine. That's after I fixed the other problem I mentioned. But then I happened to be running that little southern switcher up here, and it ran up, came across here, and sure enough, short city. So, oh, you got a problem. So again, I took the locomotive back out, said, what the heck, there's no power there. Sat there and looked at it, stared at it for a while. Again, it was staring me right in the face that gap wasn't there. So again, easy enough to do. I just came back in with a triangular file and added that gap, no problem. Ran the locomotive up, all is good in the world. So again, be careful, and just I think it behooves us to make ourselves or make the blocks set up so you can test them individually. So if you do have problems, it makes it a lot easier to troubleshoot if you can isolate it. Again, if I had to chase one huge block with a short somewhere, man, that would have been a lot more difficult. And this one, obviously didn't show up right away. And if I had just went ahead and put all this track in, it probably wouldn't have shown up until I actually ran a locomotive across it. Although, of course, when I put the feeder in for this side that actually was the return, it probably would have showed up as a dead short when I turned it on. But again, I'd have to go chasing to try to find it. So again, be careful. I'm going to have to now triple check myself on my turnouts, because that's two mistakes, simple mistakes that were fixable, but again, just can kind of drive yourself crazy. So just wanted to bring that in. Hopefully Steve can cut that in. Again, we're not trying to say that we're pros. We're just trying to let people know the issues we have, so maybe you can avoid something going on. So again, thanks a lot for watching. One quick correction. I think I might have pronounced this wrong. I apologize to any of our German friends. This is I believe, a Triebwagen. I said Treibwagen. I think I had it wrong with the IE. I believe IE in German, that would be Triebwagen. Still a cool prototype. Again, it's Talent DB BR644. Excellent prototype. So I do apologize if I made a mistake. I'm sure if I'm wrong, someone will correct me and give me the correct pronunciation. So, vielen Dank. Tschüss.